Hi everyone, Elle here again at the Lucy Rose Clinic. I'm a health educator here and I want to ask you on today's live, have you ever felt like you're hungry all the time? You finish a meal and then an hour later you're looking for something to eat. Or perhaps you're trying to lose weight and you find yourself constantly battling cravings. You tell yourself, I need more willpower, or I need more discipline, or I just need to stop eating. But what if I told you that your hunger may have very little to do with willpower, and a lot more to do with your hormones? So reason being, today we're talking about two hormones, and they have the most, no one's heard of them, yet they have a huge influence on your ability to lose weight. So first off, let me know in the comments who struggles with cravings or who feels hungry more often than they'd like. If that's you, type hungry in the comment box. Share your experience because we'd all love to hear from you guys, and know that you're definitely not alone. So I think one of the biggest mistakes people will assume is that hunger is simply caused by not eating enough. But your body is much smarter than that. So your body has an incredibly sophisticated system, and that regulates, hunger, fullness, appetite, energy, fat storage. And two of the key hormones involved with that are leptin and ghrelin. Now, don't worry about remembering the names. What's really important is understanding what they do. Because, when these hormones become imbalanced, weight loss becomes really hard. So I guess let's start with leptin. So leptin is often called the obesity hormone, but it's actually a little misleading. So its real job is to tell your brain, we've got enough fuel, we're full, you can stop eating now. It sort of sounds helpful, right? It is helpful, but when leptin isn't working properly, the interesting thing is that leptin is produced by your fat cells. So in theory, the more body fat you have, the more leptin you should produce, and the less hungry you should feel. But that's not always what happens. So this is where things get interesting. Many people carrying excess weight don't have too little leptin. So they actually have plenty of it. The problem is the brain stops listening. So this is called leptin resistance. So imagine your smoke alarm going off constantly. Eventually you stop noticing it. The signal is still there, but you're not responding. And it's similar to what can happen with leptin. The hormone is trying to tell the brain, stop eating, but the message isn't getting through. And, the result is persistent hunger, increased appetite, reduced metabolism, and greater difficulty losing weight. So I guess, people listening, have you ever felt full physically, but you still want something sweet, or you felt like you could keep eating after a big meal? If that's you, let me know in the comments, because sometimes it will be a clue that appetite regulation isn't working as effectively as it should. Okay, so the other one, which is ghrelin. Ghrelin is basically the opposite of leptin. So its job is to make you hungry. Ghrelin is produced in your stomach, and when your stomach is empty, ghrelin levels rise, and the message to your brain is simple. Go find food. It's actually a survival mechanism. So without ghrelin, humans probably wouldn't survive. And the problem is it can work against you, especially when you're trying to lose weight. Now, why can dieting make hunger worse? So this is one of the most fascinating things about weight loss. When you go on a diet, your body doesn't necessarily celebrate. Your body sees restriction. And one of the ways it responds is by increasing ghrelin production. So in simple terms, the longer you diet, the hungrier you become, which explains why so many people start a diet feeling really motivated, but a few weeks later they feel like they're thinking about food constantly. It's not because you're weak, it's because the biology is responding. And I think that's such an important message. Not a lot of people know, and women start blaming themselves. But in reality, it's your body doing exactly what it was designed to do. Let's be honest, if weight loss was purely about willpower, most people would succeed. because, you know, women, you know, we're incredibly motivated, but the problem is often fighting, you know, powerful biological signals. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, biology will win. So this is, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, it's why sustainable weight management isn't about constantly battling your body. It's about understanding your body and really working with it. So according to the Hormonal Weight ebook on our website, you know, there are a few things that support healthier hunger hormone function. So these would include eating adequate protein, eating regular meals, getting quality sleep, avoiding extreme dieting, losing weight gradually rather than aggressively. You know, notice what's missing. Starvation, punishment, extreme restriction, because those approaches can make hunger hormones a lot worse. So again, I'd love to know how many of you have been on a strict diet that left you constantly hungry. If that's you, type yes, share your thoughts, because a lot of people can relate to that one. And I think the big takeaway here is, you know, if there's one thing I really want you to remember from today's live, is that being hungry all the time doesn't mean you're failing. You know, it doesn't mean you're struggling with cravings. It doesn't mean you lack discipline. Sometimes your hormones are influencing, you know, your appetite in ways you don't even realize. And when we understand those hormones, you know, everything starts to be clear and make sense. So today, let's cover it. I've talked about leptin, the hormone that tells you you're full, ghrelin, the hormone that tells you you're hungry, and why dieting can increase hunger, why appetite, you know, simply isn't about willpower, why understanding your hormones is essential for successful weight management and keeping it off. And I guess if today's live resonates with you and you'd like to learn more about these hormones or hormones affecting your weight, appetite and metabolism, please download our free Hormonal Weight ebook. It's super insightful and it really dives deeper into leptin, ghrelin and other key hormones involved in stubborn weight gain. And if you're already working with us at Lucy Rose, reach out to your practitioner for any further guidance and support. And if you're new here, welcome. We would love to give you some personalized advice, book a complimentary consultation with one of the practitioners, and get some answers. We'd love to understand what's really driving your symptoms and, you know, what the next steps are. So if you found this live helpful, share it with everyone, or someone that's constantly battling cravings and wondering why weight loss feels so difficult. Because those two hormones, a lot of people haven't heard of them or even know, you know, what they do and how that affects your weight loss journey. So again, thanks for listening to the live. I'm looking forward to reading the